So, welcome to Coffee Chat. We're so glad you're here. It's going to be a fun coffee chat. So, just continue chatting and have more cookies. Oh, I think they're here.
One, two, three, four. This is the day the Lord has made. All right.
Come on up. We have you some nice comfy seats. Ladies, our guests of honor have arrived. Let's give them a round of applause. Thank you both for being here today.
You want to go get it? Do you need to get it? I'll take it. I'll tell you.
I, do you guys, I know I'm in your way. Do you want to move or are you okay? All right. Okay. Well, thank you so much for being here today and sharing this part of your lives with us. Inquiring minds want to know. So, Pastor Rob, tell us all you can without getting in trouble.
Okay.
All
That's
right? Okay. How many of you remember the newlywed game? Okay, well, I thought it might be fun to kind of start with a couple of questions just to see how well you do know each other. Now, if you miss it, I get to buzz you. Okay. Okay, so we're going to start with Pastor Rob. What did Lisa wear on your first date?
A bright red skirt.
Ooh, good job. Good job. Okay, Lisa, where did you go on your first date?
We went to a steak restaurant called Cabins way out in the country in El Paso,
That's right.
actually outside of El Paso.
Wow, you're doing really well. Okay. They Okay. Pastor Rob, how many dates before you got that first kiss?
I'm going to say 5.
Lisa? All right. Well, you did a good job. You're obviously not newlyweds. Okay. Now I'm going to turn the floor over to you two and let you tell us your story.
Okay.
Okay?
Well, she didn't tell me about the newlywed game. I got real nervous there. So we decided we'll take about 3 segments and 2 minutes each, and I'll say something and she'll say something, and then we'll open it up for questions. The first part is how we met, and we met in El Paso, Texas. I will tell you my journey to El Paso, and she'll tell you her journey in 2 minutes, and then we'll move on. So I grew up in Mississippi, in the New Orleans area, and when I knew I was going to become a pastor, I knew I wanted to leave the South. I wanted, there was churches on every corner, and to me it was a big world out there. All my friends, everybody, if you've ever been from the South, everybody stays there and lives on the same block and never leaves. I wanted to go. I wanted to go to a place where there weren't, there wasn't all Baptist churches everywhere. El Paso is a border town, and I love the Mexican culture. I love the border culture. I fell in love with the desert, and so it was when I drove to El Paso. I called my mom. I said, when I flew in on an airplane for an interview, I said, I feel like I'm landing on the moon. You know, that was my first time I'd ever seen the desert. So and I was the student pastor at the First Baptist Church of El Paso.
So I moved to El Paso, Texas in the 7th grade. My dad took a job there, and I consider El Paso home. I grew up there, junior high and high school. My parents wouldn't let me stay there for college. They said, if you want to go to college, you can go to Texas in Austin, or you can pay for it yourself. So I went to Texas in Austin, and so I was there for 4 years. But after I got out, I got a job back in El Paso. I love El Paso. I love living on the border. I love the Mexican influence. Back then, the border was much more open and fluid, and it was safer. We used to go over more. And started working there. I grew up going to the Episcopal Church with my parents, and when I came back, I told them I'm just not going to go to that church anymore. I didn't really know what God was doing at that time, but I knew I was supposed to take a different path, and they were like, that's fine. So a friend of theirs, I tried a bunch of different churches, and something just didn't feel right about any of them. But their good friend, my parents' good friend, Dave Brown, invited me to her church, which was First Baptist Church of El Paso. So the next Sunday, I went to visit that church and fell in love with it. I could tell, even though I didn't really know that much about church at the time, that it's kind of like coming into Bellevue Heights. It was a loving place. Everybody had their Bibles. They were happy to be there. There was joy. There was community. So I knew that I was at the right place, and so I ended up plugging in there. So that's how we ended up at the same church.
And I was single at the time, and everybody in the church, I was 24, 25 years old, so everybody was fixing me up with their granddaughter and their daughter, and I'm very social. I had lots of girlfriends for 3 dates. I'd go out with girls 3 dates, and their mom always liked me. They didn't like me, but their moms would still stay in touch with me after 3 months after we broke up, but never had any strong relationships. And then one day, if you remember the churches, the platforms, we sat up on the platforms. And being the student minister, I was the minister of welcome and announcements. And so I saw a girl sitting on the 3rd row right there in the singles department. And I said, boy, I want to meet her. And so we had a church visitation every Tuesday, and we go out the cards. And I really thought this card was her. I said, I'll take that one. I'll take that one. So I called her up, and I said, my name's Rob. I'm the student pastor, and I saw you visit our church. And I said, I'd like to visit with you. She said, fine. And so still didn't know if it was really her or not. She said, when would you like to come? I said, how about Saturday night for dinner? and so that was a church visitation she had never gotten before. And the true story was she's one of 3 sisters, and her little sister is just a year or 2 younger. They look very close. She was home for college, and she was sick. And so when I knocked on the door, I could see in there, and I see what I thought was Lisa in a nightgown with coughing there. I said, this is the wrong night. This is the wrong night. And so we went on our first date, and just started going out every date and every week till then. No one probably kept it a secret at the church for 3 or 4 months and didn't know. And then we went, so that was probably March or April. And then I was getting, this is true story, I thought she was the one. But I wanted to make sure. So there was this one girl back in Georgia that I'd sort of been seeing, I'd heard, communicating with, and all I wanted to do was to get that out of my system. So I said, Lisa, I just think, I went back on Labor Day to where my sister lives in Georgia, and I went out with this girl there, and so I came back, and I told Lisa that I think I want to just be honest with you that I'm seeing someone else right now too, but you're the one to see that you're the one. But I just want to get it out of my system, and I'll let her tell you how she responded.
Well, first, when he called me up and asked me out, I was excited to go out with him. I didn't know him at all. I was involved in the singles department, and he was students. He did high school, junior high, college, and my volunteer area was children. So there was 1,000 people there on Sunday. I knew who he was. He was on the platform. I knew he was well respected and liked and funny. But I didn't know him. We didn't cross paths. So I was a little surprised when he asked me out, but he had a good reputation. So I went out with him. I wasn't really ever a big dater, and I enjoyed, my time with him going out. And we went out for.
Excuse me. I'm sorry. Please excuse the interruption.
It's Dave.
There is something coming
Pastor Dave.
across.
Pastor Dave.
Is it Pastor Dave? Okay. Okay. I guess he's working something with the sound system.
Okay.
Okay. I'm sorry.
Okay.
Please continue.
So we were going together for about 6 months. We had never said, well, we're not going to go out with other people, but I mean, we're Christians. He's a gentleman. I would think that it's, we're just going out with each other. And honestly, between work and sleep and church, there's only so much time you have to do anything. So I thought we were pretty much spending our time together. And we did keep it quiet at church in case it didn't work out. It wasn't like we intentionally kept a secret, but we had different paths at church, and we just didn't really spend our time together there. So it was quiet. But he took me out that night and he told me, I don't recall it exactly the same as he said it. I recall him saying that he wanted to see other women. So, 6 months, that's plenty of time to know I either like you, this is going somewhere, or this is not. He's a grown man, so I'm a lady. I'm not going to be treated like that, So I was like, well, go ahead. You can go out with as many people as you want. Just don't call me anymore. And then he took me home. That's the way I recall it. So, and I went on with my life. There, no turmoil at the church because we hadn't really made it a public thing. And I still respected him, and we were each in our own little niche, doing our own thing. So, it didn't affect me at church. It didn't affect him at church. I just went on with my life, with work, and I had to travel with work some. And then I was starting to think, maybe I'll look for a new job somewhere
In
else
Seattle.
see what else is out there, and try something else. So anyway, we just went our separate ways.
And this sweet, dear lady applied for a job in Seattle and also would not return my phone calls. And she was living at home at the time, and her mom was just, she wouldn't say anything to me, just says, nope. I knew Lisa was home. Nope, no. So it was the worst 2 months of my life. And I came back begging and screaming and pleading, please have me back, please have me back. And finally, she relented after I would groveled and crawled to her place. And that was probably around November. We started dating in March and November. And then we got engaged on President's Weekend, February. We lived in El Paso, and I planned it. At this time, I had no idea I would ever live in Las Vegas. But I told her we're going to lunch on Sunday before President's Day. She was off the next day. And so where we're going to lunch, there's a restaurant out near the airport. So we walked right into the airport, and I got tickets. You could do that those days. And we got on a plane and flew to Las Vegas and went to see the magicians, Siegfried and Roy, if I remember them. Went to a restaurant there and got a red-eye, got an 11 o'clock flight back to, we're Christians. We're not going to spend the night. And so, but back to El Paso and proposed to her in Las Vegas. Little did I know that 20 years later we would move to Las Vegas. And so we were engaged in Las Vegas. So, anything you want to add to that
Do you want to tell your funny story about Thanksgiving?
about Thanksgiving?
Donna?
Huh? No.
No. Okay.
All right, this
God
one.
made it difficult for him, okay? It worked in my favor.
Margie said, "Don't tell her to get me in trouble." So there was this
Won't get
one
in
girl.
trouble, it's
My
fine.
sister loves Lisa, but she also had this girl that she was my niece's teacher that she wanted me to meet, and I went out with her, and on Labor Day, and we had a good time. So that's when I came back, and I told Lisa, nothing's slowing down, but I do want to be honest. I met this girl. I'm going out with her, and little did I know, Lisa would never call me again. And this other girl from Georgia, she planned to come out to visit me in El Paso. It was the worst weekend of my life. The worst weekend. I couldn't wait to get her back on the plane back to Atlanta where she is from. But what I'd forgotten was we did it all that Labor Day weekend. I had purchased tickets I was going Thanksgiving, my home in New Orleans to see my mom, but I was going to fly to Atlanta and see this girl, and then with my sister in Atlanta, we were going to drive to Thanksgiving to my mom's house. And so, but I tried to break up with her in October, said we're never going to see each other again. She would say, "We'll straighten it all out when you come for Thanksgiving." I'd forgotten all about that. There was no way I was going there for Thanksgiving. There was no way I was going. But back then, you couldn't even get refunds for your tickets. And I went, it was going to cost me like $700 to change my ticket there. And I told my sister, her name was, I called her Psycho Woman, sister. I said, I'm not seeing her. And my sister said, she's got your plane itinerary. She's waiting on you at the airport. She'll be waiting on you. She's convinced that you're the one for her, and y'all are going to work it out. And I said, you've got to get me out of this. She said, it's beyond me. And I should have never gotten on that plane to Atlanta. And so I got on there, but my frugalness overwhelmed me. So I said I was going to try to hide from her. Well, I got on the plane, scared to death, and we got on the runway, true story, and it was delayed. And finally, they said, I'm sorry, we have engine problems. They took us back to the thing. 20 minutes later, I'm sorry, there's a problem with engine number 2. 20 minutes later. And the people were murmuring and grumbling, and about 45 minutes later, the captain said, I'm sorry, ladies and gentlemen, this plane is not going to Atlanta. I said, praise the Lord! And we had to get rerouted, and they rerouted me directly to New Orleans, and I never had to see that woman again. Because I just made up with Lisa the week before. I couldn't go back and see that, do that. So
and when we'd gotten back together, I said, well, this has to be going somewhere. So we're either going to be getting engaged pretty soon, or this is, again, I'm wasting my time because you've known me for a long time. So we had made, some pretty set things that we were going to be engaged by President's Day. So he did need to do that. But the good thing of it was, you want to be sure. And on the other hand, he realized I don't like high maintenance drama type women. So that's who I am, the opposite of that. So that was a good thing for him, to realize that, well, sometimes quiet and calm is a good thing. And for his personality type it is. So it worked out well for both of us.
And we've been married 31 years.
Yes.
31 years. And I tell people that what I do love about Lisa is that I had a lot of quote friends, and first 1-2 dates friends, but they were like me. She was unlike anyone I'd ever met. She's discerning. She is quiet. She's reserved, and we really do. And the biblical thing we'll say is Ephesians 5. If you ever look at that, husbands, love your wives. Wives, respect or submit to your husbands. And that we take that seriously. And so I love her more than life. And I use the little acrostic. I'll talk about the love. I'll let her talk about the respect or submit. The love, years ago I heard a little acrostic, and it's carry me well, LOVE. L is to listen. And because I'm a talker. I'm a talker. I'm not a listener. And I wanted to listen to her, and I wanted to give her my undivided attention. And I think when we'd go to restaurants to eat, if we're sitting here, I would sit facing her on the wall so that I'm not doing this the whole way, because I'm a people person. And so I always wanted to listen to her. You think she's quiet, but when it's just the two of us, she can go. And so L is for listen. O, and I do this in just so much experience, is overlook, and don't sweat the small stuff. I think many relationships get in trouble because small disagreements and this and that. We're all different. We are about as opposite personality-wise, opposite. So overlook the small things and learn to forgive. There's no way